Because, my friends, it is a day of victories that I must bring you this special segment. Modelo Especial is now the number one selling beer. Sales figures topped $333 million in May, a 15% rise in the same period last year, as Bud Light sales fell to $297 million amid Dylan Mulvaney backlash. Now, we did have mutterings of this last week when they said that Bud Light was on its way to fall from the top spot. One analyst said that Modelo had taken over nationally across all metrics, but now we have the definitive report. It has happened. Not just speculation, not just analysis. Modelo is now number one. And I love to hear it because Modelo's actually really great. I'm a big fan. Never liked Bud Light. I do like Modelo, though I don't really drink, to be completely honest. And let's clear something up. So we had talked about this before, that Modelo was owned by Anheuser-Busch, but the clarification is that is only outside of the United States. Inside, due to an antitrust action by the government, Constellation Brands controls the rights to Modelo. So that means Anheuser-Busch has lost the top beer by engaging in culture war garbage. The Daily Mail reports Modelo Especial has now dethroned Bud Light as the top-selling beer in America after years of the longtime industry leader holding the top spot. In the 4 weeks ending May 28th, Modelo Especial store sales soared past $333 million, a 15.6% rise on the same period last year. Modelo surpassed Bud Light's $297 million, which was a 22.8% fall in sales. Anheuser-Busch, the parent company of Bud Light and Modelo Especial, has seen market cap value plummet $27 billion. Holy crap. $27 billion following a disastrous team up with Dylan Mulvaney. And here is a picture of some woman on Instagram drinking a Modelo, I guess. She's got an American flag behind her. You choose, America. You have your choice. You have country, where is this? New Mexico or something? Country bumpkin woman drinking a Modelo with an American flag, or Dylan Mulvaney trying to be Audrey Hepburn, I think, and offending people. Bill Newlands, the CEO of Modelo Especial's owners Constellation Brands, said the increase in sales happened quicker than they anticipated. Yo, when all this stuff went down with Dylan Mulvaney and all these beer companies, I bet everybody in the C-suite at Modelo cracked open some beers. They were probably shotgunning them, being like, yeah, our rivals are destroying their brand. We thought that it would take a little longer. We've been very fortunate that that's gone a little quicker than we had anticipated. But what a great position to be in on the beer side, he told Newsweek. He's dancing on the grave of Bud Light. U.S. sales of Modelo are controlled by rival Constellation Brands and do not count as part of AB InBev's global volumes as part of an antitrust settlement. Anheuser-Busch and Constellation did not immediately respond to a request to comment. According to consultancy firm Bumps Williams Consulting, Modelo Especial sales were $341.9 million the week ending May 27th, compared to Bud Light's $298.6. However, long-term trends show that Bud Light remains the top-selling beer in the U.S. this year so far, according to Nielsen IQ. But that is unfair. It's unfair because there is the pre-controversy and the post-controversy. So what needs to happen is we need a clean year of data. So starting from when the controversy happened until April 1st of next year, then we'll get the real picture. But I think it's fair to say right now, we know it. Bud Light sales are done. They're gone. I get it. They're still selling beer. I still see people drinking it. But when 30% of your market leaves you, that is the death knell. One thing we explained quite a bit on Timcast IRL is I'm not a big sales guy. I only know a little bit because we've been doing some of this, but how volume plays a role in whether or not you can sell something at a price point. Let me explain. Let's say you have 10,000 employees, and it costs you, let's just say an arbitrary number, $10 million per month to run these facilities. There is a fixed cost and then a variable cost. Your fixed cost is you can always run these factories so long as you have, let's say, $10 million per month. That gets you a bare minimum amount of cans sold. Now you want to increase the amount of cans you're producing, and the cost goes up per month. So here's what you do. If you sell 1 million cans and your profit is only $1 per can, you make $1 million. But that means your can's going to cost, let's just say $3 or $4. If you sell 10 million cans, you can reduce that margin by a factor of 10 down to 10 cents per can and still make the same amount of money. Granted, you don't want to be that direct because making more cans of beer costs more money. The point I'm trying to make, without making it overly complicated, because I'm sure there's other people who can explain it better. Bud Light is able to produce at the volume they do because their fixed costs don't grow as quickly as their variable costs. That's how bulk sales generally work. Most of you probably know this. It's why when you order more of a thing, it's cheaper. Because the company that produces it says, we don't need to make $1 per can. If we're selling 1 billion cans, a penny would be fine. So we're dealing this with Cast Brew Coffee. Check out Cast Brew Coffee, castbrew.com. Castbrew.com is the website. We're dealing with this in that because we're doing smaller batches, in order to cover the costs of everything we're doing, we need to, it's more expensive, right? If you go to Starbucks, you get, I think for the same price as a Cast Brew bag, Starbucks has 4 more ounces. So if you like Starbucks, sure. If you want to support us, we're smaller. Nothing we can do to cover the cost of running the business. We're like, that's what we have to sell it for. But if we sold like 1 million bags instead of a few thousand, we could reduce that all the way down to a few pennies per bag because then we're covering our fixed costs. Long story short, I'm rambling here. Bud Light may collapse. All right. This is the point. If Bud Light sells their beer for, let's say, $20 and they're able to sell it at that number because of how much they sell, with sales dropping 30%, it could push Bud Light into no man's land. A 30% drop in sales probably will require price hikes on their product or consuming savings or extracting the profits from other brands to supplement the drop in Bud Light. Now, Bud Light sales are still so high, being the number 2 beer. I don't think they're worried about it yet. Probably just losing a lot of profit with that they used to support other beers. But what this may mean is now that they're selling less volume, there's going to be a cost increase somewhere. There has to be. And that means if it is with Bud Light, well, they're already suffering. So now someone says, not only is it a garbage woke beer, but now it costs $1 more than the others. Why buy it? And that is the cascade effect. That is the breakdown where Bud Light could actually fall more. They say Bud Light sales count for 9.1% of the total market in 2023, while Modelo has 8%, a gap of several $100 million. Experts previously warned that Modelo would topple Bud Light for the title, with sales week ending May 20th plunging 25.7% for Bud Light and soaring 9.2% for their rival. Look at this, man. Good on Modelo. What does that say? Cerveceria, wasn't? I don't know. Modelo, Cerveza. It says Cerveceria. That's like a place that makes beer, I guess. Yes. And then Dylan Mulvaney put on a pinstripe suit and did a magazine shoot saying that they are ready to move on from girlhood. And a lot of people are like, was this a bit like Borat? And I'm saying, like, dude, Dylan Mulvaney is doing a bit like Borat. That's what I think is happening. But now Dylan's like, I want to be a comedian, not, a trans person or something like that. I don't think Dylan's saying they're not trans, but it kind of feels like they're moving away from this character they use to become famous. And now that they're famous, you might wonder why it is that Mulvaney never got the facial hair removal. Because it's a character like Borat. But hey, Bud Light, good on you destroying an iconic American brand so that you can get woke and go broke. This is the Hindenburg of get woke, go broke. This is a catastrophe for American corporate interests. And because of this, the dam is broken. So many more brands are now terrified to embrace wokeness and make it so. There's a story going around about Nike bringing in a surgeon who performs child sex changes. Make it known. The American people don't stand for this. Bravo to Modelo. It's funny because in the wake of all of these things, we're seeing all these other beer brands post American flags and be like, we like America. We don't want any of that stuff. Let's make the trend for corporations. When you put up American flags, we buy your product. When you don't, when you put up the weird woke garbage, we don't buy your product. That's called winning. Congratulations, America. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up in a few minutes. Stick around and I'll see you all shortly.